Good evening and welcome to the first meeting in 2017, Monday, January 9th. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette.
Here.
Councilmember Lane.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kline.
Here.
Councilmember Ryno.
Here.
And Mayor Vierra.
Here. Next, we will have the invocation by Chaplain Joel Richards, if he's here. There he is. And followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
And before I pray, and I know I don't want to abuse my time, but I do want to say I'm here tonight, was asked to be here because 12 years ago I know exactly where I was on this evening. 12 years ago, I hope we all know that's the evening that Howard Stevenson lost his life, gave his life for us. And it was an unselfish man who served this community, and it's changed me. I know it has changed Councilmember Ryno's life and family. We're glad that Sam's alive, but I just think it's important that we remember that. I'm sure you do, but before I pray, I wanted to at least say I remember it. That was a horrific night. I spent the night with Kathy. I went with her to the hospital and dealt with her as she had to deal with the loss of her husband, the man who fathered their children, and a man who served this community. I do what I do as a chaplain because I believe in blue. I believe in what people do in social work. I believe in what you do for the city. I commend you for that. I pray for our officers, our fire, and I just wanted to say tonight before I pray how appreciative I am of those who serve us, and especially when someone's life is given completely to serve this community. I know you don't forget. I'm not preaching at anybody, but I know we shouldn't forget. And I just wanted to pay that tribute to Howie and to Kathy and to Sam and to Linda. And I'd like to pray. Father, I am grateful for many, many things. I think we all are. In fact, there are so many things in this country that we have to be grateful for, so many blessings. As of late, even with flooding, we are grateful for the rain and the snow. But especially tonight, I'm grateful for those who serve us. I'm grateful for those who put on the uniform every day to go out into this community to protect us. They leave in the morning, do not know what the day will hold for them, and most of the time they get to come home. And periodically that's not the case. And I am grateful for Howie Stevenson, who served the city of Ceres. I'm thankful for the way in which he did that unselfishly. I would pray that as we think about him and Sam, that we ourselves would be reminded tonight of the value of sacrifice, the value of commitment, the value of doing things that are right even when no one's looking. I pray that you'll bless this council. I thank you for them. They're serving this city tonight in this way. I ask that you'll give them great wisdom. I pray that you'll protect their lives. I pray that you'll give them peace about the decisions they make. And again, we pray for this city that you would bless it, and we thank you for it. Again, you are good to us, and we want to be grateful people. And we praise you for that and thank you for that in the name of your Son. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain. Next, we'll move to presentations. We have none this evening. Citizens' communication to council on matters not included on the agenda. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in City Council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the City Council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Citizens are entitled to address the City Council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. At this time, I do have one speaker card. It's from John, is it Gregorals? Okay, Georgie, sorry. If you want to come forth and...
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Georges, and I am previous owner of Liquor King liquor store on Mitchell. Had this store for 13 years before I sold it last year. And to make this really quick, just to let you guys know that I ran that establishment really crisp and professionally and reputable, and had a really good image going. It kind of started to, the hours that I had to put in there started affecting my health, so that decision was made for me to sell the business and start something else. I was originally wanted to leave the valley, go somewhere else, but I decided to come back, and I love this city. I've always loved it. I participated in a lot of community donations and whatnot, which I'm not bragging about, of course, but I was more than happy doing it. My request for you guys today is I wanted to come back and start another business with you guys' respectfully, you guys' permission, to see if I can get a food truck business in the city of Ceres. I would really appreciate it if you guys make that decision for me. I would also like to request that to give it at least a 2-mile radius. That way we don't clutter the city with that image. So I think that's a pretty good measurement for me, and I appreciate this opportunity. I want to thank everybody for.
Sure, and just to address that a little bit, we have had some interest, and there has been some discussion about food trucks, and I've recently had a conversation with the city manager, and I believe we are going to address that in an upcoming study session. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were looking at a discussion item this spring. We hadn't scheduled it yet to inquire with the council in terms of the current prohibition that we have in terms of the primary focus was on related to special events. But we don't have a date yet. We were thinking second meeting in February, the first meeting in March.
So we will be bringing that item up, and it would be an agendized item. And if you want to leave your contact information with the clerk over here, we can make sure that you get notified and you can take part in that meeting.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
No
Thank
problem. This time, is there anyone else that would like to speak on a non-agenda item?
Leonard Shepard, Happy New Year.
Same to you.
We're here with a new chance to do what's right for the citizens. I would hope the citizens would take this opportunity and all fill this place and make you open all the back doors and sliding doors and stuff and make this 2017 the year that the citizens of Ceres get involved. I know that's a pipe dream that I've had since I started coming in 1997. So, but still, the dream is there that this place, instead of being very, very light on citizenship, would be very, very heavy on citizenship. And you folks can look out there and see, you know, that the place was, the people were doing what they were supposed to do. The chance they were given by our Constitution is to run their government, not let their government run them. And I'm not saying you guys are running us, but we're supposed to be watching you to make sure that you do things right. That's our job. And so far, there's been a few of us that have been here, and you're doing, I'll say for you guys, you're doing a pretty good job. I haven't had to jump on too many people about things, so you're doing a pretty good job. There are things that are going to be coming up, I'm sure, that are going to make you all say, oh, God, man, why this? But still, it's your duty to tackle those problems no matter what they are. And I want to thank the chaplain for reminding us not just of Howie or Sam, but of all of our officers, police, fire, all of the employees that serve the city when they're out there in the middle of the night when it's raining and flooding and things like that. We need to remember them, that they are the first line of defense against bad things. And I certainly think that we've got the best fire and police, city workers. They're the best. You look around and you see other cities that have real problems. We got a few, but they're ones that we can manage, I think. So, Happy New Year, and we'll see what happens in the next 364 days.
Dave Pratt of Series. I'm not much of a Walmart fan, but I'll be glad when they're gone down the road. But I think you ought to raise the restriction on the height of fences along residentials where the backyards faces thoroughfares and the parking lots that face thoroughfares. Kind of get tired of seeing refuse from homes that are too lazy to take this stuff up front, or people that change diapers and throw them over the fence, or car parts, or even go behind the wall to eat their food so people don't see how they eat, and a lot of other. And it kind of gets worse back along there. So I'll be glad when they're gone. But I think you ought to at least raise the fences to at least 15 feet. Now, residential homes, if they want to see people walking along the canals and stuff, they can look out their bedroom window on the second story. And I know a lot of them have already raised their fences because they don't want those people looking in their backyards or in their homes. Just take that in mind. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Happy New Year, 2017. Hours. I usually open at 8 a.m., sometimes as early as 7, occasionally as late as 9 or 10. I usually close about 5:30 or 6, frequently about 4 or 5. Sometimes as late as 7 or 8. Some days I'm not here at all. But lately I've been here just about all the time. Closed weekends, unless I'm here, then I'm open. Appointments can be made by calling during my regular hours. I told Jan, get that out of the window by my door, because the people were looking at it and thought I had a business. And Mr. Azevedo wanted me to get a business license. I don't have a business, but I help people. Right, Durossette? Went over and helped him. I said, I can't crawl underneath there and fix your thermostat wire. A rat ate it in two. I help people. Every person around me, they see me roofing my house, they want me to help them roof their house. They get a permit, and I help them. They get a permit, and I help them. You can go down and see all the permits that I've always, 2-story house beside me. I got permits for the whole thing. All the electrical panels that I put on 200 amp service, I put a permit. I've got a permit on each one of the houses. Air conditioners, I got a permit on every one of the air conditioners.
Rita just wanted me to build a 20 by 40 garage for her. I can't. I can't get up on a house anymore. My equilibrium is all messed up. I can't do anything up on a roof anymore. Randy stole my ladder and won't let me use it anymore. So I did do what they wanted me to do. I sold a lot of air conditioners. I just got through, mine's only been on my house for 6 years. But it's R22, and I had a chance to buy a bunch of them that had 410, high energy efficient, but I took them all. I got a grand total of $12.99. I lost a lot of money, but I got rid of them. So that probably paid my gas. The city of Ceres makes $125,000 on the kids playing baseball. That's what I really improve. I really enjoy that too. I never made that kind of money whenever I was out there with them kids. I charged them $40. We didn't sell candy. We didn't sell, and that was right after your mom and dad and aunt and uncle had it. We had a good time. I put the lights out there, put the t-ball field out there, and had a good time for $40. And I also built a 2-story house and took care. And I ran a basketball program for 34 years for the kids, and only charged them $30 and $40. Okay, so much of that. Here you got landlord, city too strict about utilities. That's you. Here's an agreement where the people that want to rent my place, they sign this. It's the wife's name and my name. We're the homeowner, 2305 Joey, on the rental. They have to sign it. They take it down. They give them a deposit, and they come out and turn the water on. If they move, it automatically goes back to Jan and I. If it's rented on the 1st and I don't rent it until the 15th, we pay 15 days of the water bill. How simple? I mean, how simple can it be? We don't even have to go down there. The renters have to go down there because they got to get a credit check. I mean, don't change it, because that is as easy as anything in the city can be. Marijuana, we had that. I was the only one that come in here and talked about it, but I have take 2 capsules by mouth every day for depression and PTSD. See, everybody else got a big write-up talking about marijuana, but I'm a veteran and I do it the legal way, and I go to Palo Alto and everything else to see my doctor to get my medication. But people are trying to go marijuana, and then they go other drugs. No, I'll stay with the right way to do things until it's the right way. Okay? And I'd like to thank him for coming up to me and saying that, and the sergeant come out there and talked to me too. What a great person, Mr. Coley. What a great person you sent to me. Easy to talk to. He asked me, he says, you got a lot of stuff. I said, yeah, I got a lot of stuff. He said, why don't you get rid of some of this stuff? I said, you don't mind if I tell you something? He says, no. And I said, why don't I get rid of all this stuff and go to old folks' home and just die? I don't need this stuff. And he said, you know, you're right. What can we do to satisfy you? And you know what? I really enjoyed that guy. He was a great guy. I owe you one for that. Thanks. Bye. I'm going to go to the football game.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on a non-agenda item? Okay. With that, we will move on. We have no appointments to boards and commissions this evening. Conflict of interest declaration. Is there anyone on the council that would like to declare a conflict of interest on any of the consent calendar items or public hearing items? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or the public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by roll call vote. At this time, is there anyone on the council that would like a consent calendar item pulled for further discussion?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like a consent calendar item pulled for further discussion? 6? Okay. Okay, with that, I will move for...
Before you move, Mayor, I'd like to ask a question. If the revised agenda has been posted with item number 11, because I do not see a copy of it?
Yes, it was posted.
Okay.
Okay. So that was your only question?
That was my only
Okay.
question.
Okay, well, with that, I'll look for direction on the other remaining items.
Move to approve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Durossette,
Yes.
Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kline,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno,
Yes.
and Mayor Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Item number 6, resolution number 2017-01, authorizing amendment of Measure H expenditure plan. Mr. Shepherd, did you want to come up and ask your question?
Well, being the chairman of the Measure H committee, I hadn't received anything from Mr. Wells about, and I don't remember whether we just talked about at the last Measure H meeting about amending the expenditure plan and what we were going to do.
This is what you approved at the Measure H at last meeting in November. This was the revised format of the Measure H expenditure plan.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you recall we changed the format?
Oh, okay, that.
Reflect the budget? That's what council's
okay,
acting on now.
That's what I want to know, because I was thinking, wait a minute. So we approved that, revising it or changing it a little bit, so.
The Oversight Committee recommended approval to the council, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
we didn't get it here until now. So
Okay.
they're ratifying, or before them this evening, ratifying your efforts at the Measure H Oversight Committee.
All right, that's good, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'll bring it back to council for direction.
Move to adopt resolution 2017-01.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette,
Yes.
Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kline,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno,
Yes.
and Mayor Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business, we have none. Public hearing, we have 2 items. First is ordinance number 2017-1038, amending sections 2.04.020 and 2.04.030 and 2.04.040 of the municipal code relating to moving the city's general election to the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November of each even-numbered year, beginning in November of 2018, and other corresponding changes. Mr. Wells?
Thank you, Mayor Vierra. As council recalls, SB 415 was signed into law on September 1st of 2015. In essence, making a change for most local governments who conduct their elections in odd-numbered years. For us, our last election was in 2015. We would have had election in 2017. However, with the passage of that bill, it changed the criteria that is now requiring the city to move in a different direction. As we discussed at the study session at the end of last year, there were several options of moving in order to be consistent and compliant with the new state law. council directed staff to prepare an ordinance to make the change, in essence, by extending the existing terms of the current council by 1 year, consistent with the Election Code of California, to move and be compliant with the new law of SB 415. So what's included in the ordinance this evening for your first consideration and conduct the public hearing is that change of adding the additional year and moving the elections that would start in 2018 and then in 2020. And with that, as you recall, we also waived the first reading as part of the consent calendar. So that action has already been taken care of as part of the consent. So with that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Okay, does anyone on the council have any questions of the staff? Okay, hearing none, I will open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for direction.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
no,
No, you go.
so really, with the, Mr. Wells, you had said that we don't need to do an introductory and first reading?
That's
You don't
been,
have to waive the first reading.
You don't have to
The
waive
only,
it.
motion you need to make is to introduce it.
I move to introduce ordinance 2017-1038.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette,
Yes.
Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kline,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno,
Yes.
and Mayor Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, there is an item 11, resolution number 2017-05, authorizing a short-term loan from the sewer fund to the general fund. Mr. Wells?
Thank you, Mayor. As council is aware, this item was added to the agenda. We were expecting a payment from the county department for Stanislaus County, for property tax that is generally received the first week in January. We had inquired as our fund balance was running a little bit low as the status of that payment. On Tuesday of last week, we were ensured that the payment would hit on Friday of this week when our payroll will be processed. Unfortunately, that did not happen. As a result, our fund and the general fund did run into a negative balance, fortunately, and our banking, all of our accounts are pooled together. But we do need to, in essence, cover the loan that was made, and it basically borrowed from other account, make repayment of that. The payment from the county is pending in our bank account and is expected to be made in our account tomorrow morning. So in essence, the loan would be from Friday to Tuesday, and the recommendation from staff is to utilize the sewer fund for that short-term loan, again, of 5 days, to be returned as soon as those funds are available in the account. With the staff report was the cash flow showing the history of our cash flow. There's really no difference from what the council approved from a budget standpoint. The budget is still accurate and reflects what we expect to end the end of the year. This is really a cash flow issue that we wouldn't be asking for this if we would have received that payment on Friday, but that couple-day difference did make it significant difference, as indicated also in the staff report. The lower fund balance that we've been dealing with, and in addition to the structural deficit, have led us to the situation that in the future will be more likely. But as you recall, when the budget was approved back in July, the 3 steps that were recommended for staff, fixing the structural deficit prior to the adoption of the 17-18 budget will be something we'll be discussing in detail at our strategic planning session coming up next month. That I'm available for any question, and Ms. Dean as well.
Okay, is there any questions of staff on this item? Okay, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item?
I'll wait.
Okay, hearing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Councilmember Ryno?
Well, to me, it's a real red flag when we as a city wind up with a negative in our bank account. I mean, that really worries me. And since I've been on the council, I've talked about how we continue to spend more than we bring in, and it's been a concern, as everyone is aware. But if we are going negative at any point in the year, wouldn't that indicate that we're spending too much?
Well, we have, since 2009, our expenditures have exceeded our revenues. On an annual basis, there is an inherent deficit just with the way our revenues are received. As we've talked about, our sales tax is lagged by 3 months. So for a sales tax that received on July 1 to the state, we don't get for 3 months. So there's an inherent 3-month lag there. And the property tax, another one of our major funding sources, as well as some of the other state funding that we get that's tied to property tax, we only get those 6 months into the year. So from a budgetary standpoint, as it stands on December 31st, regardless of any of our other spending issues, our expenditures are generally around 45% of our total budget, and our revenues are only around 20%. So that built-in difference of 20 to 25% occurs every year regardless of what our fund balance. In years past, because we had a larger fund balance, it allowed us to absorb that cash flow difference. And as you can see from the cash flow, if you look at that same date last year, 12/31 of 2015, the cash flow got down to $317,000. Really, that's kind of fundamentally the difference is, you know, we've taken that fund balance down further, which allows us to not have that cushion that we've had in years past. But you are correct that we can't continue to spend more than we bring in. It's really
well, we say that every year, and then we just lower our reserves. And I think now we're finally seeing what lowering our reserves is doing. So we rely on projected revenues, correct? We are relying on projected revenues.
Well, that's what the budget is. Yeah, the budget is a projection, correct.
So if they don't come in at the level projected, then we wind up in this situation, correct? I mean, I look at all these other months that are shown here with the closing cash balance, and I guess it just concerns me that we've had money and we haven't gone in the negative, and then we are in the negative. That really worries me. I mean, it's not like if it were my personal account, I'd be flipping out. I really would be. And I mean, if you look at December 31st, our closing cash balance was $37,000. I mean, that isn't good. So if we look at this chart you provided, and it says, well, at our lowest for the fiscal year, we had $711,946.96, okay? And somehow we wind up the next month, so we were looking at where are we at? 5/31 of 2017, and I know this is all projected, but our closing cash balance again is $711,946.96, and then all of a sudden this last month, when we're getting to the end of our budget, we're at 3.4 mil, which gets us.
The difference there is, like I mentioned, the sales tax, right? So on June 30th, that number reflects the end of our fiscal year. So there's 3 more months of sales tax revenue that comes in, our single largest revenue source that comes in that last month, because we are on an accrual-based accounting system. So what we're showing here is the accruals of revenues coming in. So you're going to see it heavily weighted at the end of June, because we don't get all that money as of June 30th. We get it in July, August, and September. Those when we get those final revenues, which shows you that there's higher revenues. At the same time, there's higher expenditures as well in that last month of the fiscal year. And again, those are the projections, but they are based on numbers, and we are tracking very well to the budget that we approved. There's not major changes that we're seeing both in revenue or expenditures on the current budget.
But if I look at June 30th of 2016, we had 1.92 million, and we're projecting this June 30th, 3.46 million. What? I don't understand how we can have such a big difference.
The 3.6 is the 3.5 is, again, the projected budget, exactly what we'd said in the budget. We're within $100,000 of that ending budget fund balance of 3.5 million, sorry.
Well, I know what you're saying, but I don't understand how we're projecting such a big amount compared to June 30th.
Of 2016?
Of 2016.
I'd have to ask Suzanne on the 2016 number.
I'll take a little bit of the blame for this. I wanted to track how we were coming in and if we were staying within our reserve amount. So the last portion in yellow is kind of a mixture of cash and modified accrual. So that $3.4 million is modified to show the revenues that are going to come in the last few months. I was projecting out to make sure that we're going to stay within our fund balance goals. The actual cash balance, which was on the next page, which I actually intended to send and didn't send, shows that our cash will be at about 1.1 million.
So 1.1 million, what is that when you talk about reserves?
So there's a difference between cash balance and fund balance, and we always focus on the fund balance, and we are staying right within our goal of staying at about 18% for our fund balance. The cash flows in at different times of the year, so your fund balance includes money that's in accounts receivable, and so we are going to get it. It's going to be at a later date, and we accrue out through September. So when I was doing my projections, I did two projections: the modified accrual, which is this one, plus I did a separate one that it was cash only, and the cash only one did not get sent on to council. I did send it to Mr. Wells earlier today. That shows cash balance will be at about 1.1 million. And it's because we use a modified accrual basis in accounting, we have to look at things both ways. Since we've gone negative, I'm keeping a cash balance to modify or to look at cash on a daily basis to make sure that we aren't in this position again. And if we are going to be in this position, to alert council much sooner.
Do you know offhand how much payroll is?
This last payroll was about $403,000 roughly. It might have been just slightly more, but we had a little bit of money that was in there, the $37,000, and then we posted about $25,000 in accounts payable, and then that drew it down. So I think it was probably closer to $408,000. This payroll was a little higher than normal. Usually the general fund portion is about $375,000, but we had the end of quarter payouts and other MOU payouts that occurred, so this payroll was a little bit higher.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vice Mayor Kline?
Explain to me about general fund reserve. Does it just worry about, you know, we set a target of 18%. Is that just year-end general fund reserve, or does the 18% supposed to be carried over month to month to month to month?
It's virtually impossible to carry it over month to month because of the timing of revenues. The lag in the sales tax, the only getting property tax 2 times a year, well actually 3 times. The payment we're getting posted tomorrow is 55% of the property tax that for the year, and then we'll get the next payment will come May, and then the last 5% comes early July. So because it's spread out like that, we can't maintain 18% all the way across, not unless we have other revenues that increase, and they would have to be significant increases. That's why you can see the net cash flow column shows how much we're overspending each month, and then when you get into January, you have this large influx of cash, and then that influx of cash is what carries us through until we get the next influx in April, and then our accounts receivable amounts, they start coming in July, August, September.
So when you look at the net cash flow and it shows a negative, does that mean that the 18% general fund money is gone?
Potentially it could have gone below the 18%, yes.
Okay.
It just, you would have to take the ending cash balance and divide it by the expenditures that are budgeted for the year. Anytime it drops below about that 3.4 million, you can say that we're not at an 18% reserve.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll look for direction from the council.
Well, before we do that, did you say that we're going to discuss this at our meeting in February, what we're going to do?
Yes. That was my staff's plan, was to bring forward some ideas and have the conversation with how to attack this year's budget. And the strategic plan is one of the primary purposes of that strategic plan.
Just one question for you, Suzanne. This cash flow issue isn't new to us. This has been going on for years.
We've had these cash flow issues. We have never gone negative. I've been here broken up, but in about 10 years, and this is the first year that we've gone negative. Last year we came close. Well, anytime we drop below $1 million, it starts to concern me because of the uncertainty of how much is payroll going to be, how much are the departments going to spend. So I start watching it when it drops below $1 million. And this is the first, actually my first experience with a negative cash balance in the general fund.
Okay, and is that something, how often does it come that the county is delayed in making payments to us?
This year, they said that it was because of the holidays, and they assured me that it was being processed Friday, but it didn't pre-note to our account Friday, and it didn't pre-note today. We called the bank, and they said they can see it sitting out there, and it will deposit tomorrow morning.
Okay. Okay, so I think ultimately the discussion is if it's not really related to the 18% general fund reserve. Really, it would have to be a policy if we want to say that we want to have enough in our account to cover cash flow timing issues, because that's really what this is. If this came in last Friday like they had promised it would, then this doesn't even become an issue because we wouldn't have gone into the negative. Not to say that it isn't right, but it is a timing thing as much as anything. I think we can all agree that we've got to do something about our spending, and we need to look at all things that we're doing there. But this is as much a cash flow issue, timing, as anything. At least that's my understanding. So, Vice Mayor Kline?
I just want to thank Suzanne Dean for the way she put together this cash flow chart spreadsheet. I know we've worked on the budget and we've reviewed the budget and we've done itemized, we've done different things, but this basically realistically gives me a better understanding of how the city's treasuries work as far as cash in, cash out, and what's received and how we pay out. So I mean, I figured out what what you were talking about as far as opening cash balance, closing, and how our expenditures are and things like that, and how much we spend according to the cash received for the month. And I just want to thank you for the way you put this together, because it sure did help me out as far as understanding a few more things.
Yeah, and keep in mind this is just general fund,
right,
not the other funds. So, okay. All right, I'll look for direction or more discussion.
I'll move to adopt resolution 2017-05.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette.
He had to be excused.
Councilmember Lane.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kline.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno.
Yes.
And Mayor Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 401.
Okay, at this time, is there anyone on the council that would like to have an item placed on a future agenda? Okay, with that, we will move to reports. I really don't have anything other than Happy New Year, and I'm looking forward to an exciting 2017 for us. So, Councilmember Ryno, sorry, draw a blank there.
Wow, okay. Toby and I had talked about this recently, about the vendors on Christmas Tree Lane and in the area, because I've received complaints from people that there's hot chocolate, there's popcorn being sold, there's those lightsabers, And I don't know, apparently there was a problem a couple years ago and they addressed it. I just want to be sure that when it rolls around this year, that we're prepared to do something about it. So I'm not sure if we need to have a meeting where we discuss it, or if staff is just going to put it on their calendars to make sure that they kind of are preemptive.
It's up to the council's direction. I think we can handle it from a staff direction to make sure that we flag it for next year's planning and preparation to ensure that we're proactively doing that. But if the council would like a discussion item scheduled, we can.
And I have one more thing.
Okay,
Councilmember Ryno has one more thing.
sure. Take as much time as you'd like.
Every year we go to Idaho in December to this small town, and they have a park in the downtown area that is a lot like our Whitmore Park, and it's got a gazebo, but they do what I think is the coolest thing. They have the trees around the perimeter are all done in lights, you know, strung with lights, and then they also have Christmas music piped in. But I don't know if or what we could do to start something like that. I mean, we have everyone driving up and down 99, and it's just really a cool thing to look at. And I don't know if, you know, we could get community groups that want to adopt a tree, or see if citizens want to adopt a tree. I don't know if we have enough electricity out there to do it or not, Jeremy, but
Yeah, we tried that last year and had some challenges on the electrical system. It's a little old and tired.
Yeah, so the wiring coming out of the old restrooms to the gazebo, there's one conduit left. There's 3 or 4 conduits in there, but one of them's got a good circuit running to it. So the whole entire gazebo's run off of one circuit. Last year we tried it with some lights around the trees and whatnot for a garden club member. We had to bring in little portable handheld generators to run power to the lights.
Wow.
And string and extension cords and whatnot. So I mean, it's doable. We'd have to run a whole new power circuit and everything from the old restrooms out. It's just time and money.
okay.
Well, it might be something that we could look at doing, because I think we're looking at wanting to do more events there and other things, so perhaps that might be something we take a look at.
I would suggest to bring it up as part of the budget. We can bring some numbers as part of the budget process, and
Okay.
council can consider it as part of the budget.
That's
Okay.
it.
Vice Mayor Kline?
Well, I really don't have anything other than, I was approached by numerous people too about Christmas Tree Lane. So I just didn't want, you know, people to think that Councilmember Ryno was the only one. I've heard a lot of frustration again this year for, you know, the vendors and everything out there, because it is a free service. I mean, those people do it themselves. They put up their lights and they open up everything and put up with the traffic for 30 days, and for people to profit off it, you know, it's very discouraging for them. So Councilmember Ryno wasn't the only one that heard numerous complaints.
Well, living out there, I've seen it, and certainly even the cotton candy going down and all the different kinds of balloons. I thought I was going down Main Street in Disneyland at times, but anyway, yeah, I think it's something that should be addressed, and you know, down the street or down the road, maybe the committee meets, maybe make some notes on that, so at that time we come back and to the council and let us know how we're addressing that.
Okay.
Burnett, Happy New Year.
Amy Steen? Tom? Mr. Wells?
A couple little items. One, the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors on their agenda for tomorrow, they're looking at awarding a contract to a company called T.Y. Lind for the study of the Faith Home Bridge over the Tuolumne River that would connect Ceres to that area of Modesto. And again, it's a study for the environmental and project assessment, so $1.6 million project, pretty significant, also has some long-ranging impacts for the city of Ceres. So we are encouraged. It took the county about a year to get that process, because it does have some federal funding to get that study in place. So that's encouraging that that is moving forward. Also, an update on Measure L, the half-cent sales tax for transportation purposes. Our StanCog meeting last month, we got some updates on the timing. So the half-cent sales tax would be begin to be collected on April 1st. First revenues wouldn't come in until July, and we actually likely wouldn't see them until September. So we're working on some plans at the engineering department to see how we can move some things around and try to at least get a slurry seal or a maintenance project going this summer. But we'll be working on that as part of the budget as well, to see if we can move things around. That timing of when those monies come in make it a little more challenging to try and pull off a project this summer. So obviously summer is the best time to do those type of road maintenance projects. So we are working on that, and we hope to have something around budget time, possibly as a separate budget amendment to recognize those revenues, because those aren't included in our current budget. Ms. Dean and I have spoken and kind of came up with a plan of attack that she's worked with other cities as well to kind of see how everyone else is accounting for those monies. So we've got a nice, clear accounting and transparent on how those monies are coming in and being spent. So we're actively moving forward on that. Stan Cog as well is doing a lot of work behind the scenes and getting all of their information teed up so that there will be some real clear signs that everybody in the county will be using the same signs to be able to say this is a Measure L funded project. So by the time the first project is started, which would probably be right around July, that it would be real clear to the public what those projects look like. Also, just a reminder on your calendars, we have ribbon cutting this Thursday for a new restaurant here in town. And that's all that I have.
Okay. Tom?
Just want to remind the council that 2 workshops coming up for the general plan update, one on the 25th of January in English. The second workshop will be on February 1st in Spanish. So it's going to get the input from the alternatives that the council and the planning commission considered in November. And then also the city clerk put a calendar appointment out. The chamber will be having their annual installation dinner on the 27th of January. So just wanted to remind the council of that.
Carol? Brent? Tracy? Thank you. Ms. McCoy? Jeremy? Okay, with that, we will adjourn this meeting to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be Monday, January 23rd at 6 p.m. Thank you.